Welcome to the Soulcery Podcast, your sacred space to delve into spiritual tools, topics, and practices that will illuminate your path of soul remembering and healing. I'm your host, Ligia Costa, a soul guide, alchemist, soul writing coach, and the creator of the Trust Pathway. I'm deeply grateful to have you here with me. Together, we will embark on a profound exploration of self-discovery and healing, unlocking the secrets that lie within. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Soulcery Podcast. I'm Ligia, and today we are diving into a deeply human experience that, when channeled properly, can be a source of amazing transformation. We are going to talk about anger, resentment, and how to heal when we feel like we are carrying the weight of both of these emotions. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by feelings of anger, or you found yourself stuck in a cycle of resentment, know that you're not alone and there is a way out, okay? Because anger is an emotion that we all encounter in life. We all have it within us. It may show at different times and for different reasons. And whether it's frustration over an unmet expectation or a response to feeling that we've been treated unfairly, or even an internal struggle that we haven't yet resolved. But for some of us, anger can be a more frequent companion, right? While for others, it only just shows up during challenging moments. But I want you to know that anger in its pure form is not inherently bad, as we are conditioned to believe, okay? We always grew up not feeling supported and not being taught on how to deal with anger. Not only in your home, but at school as well. If we ever expressed anger, we were put in a naughty corner. We were told that was not right to feel that way. It was not a right way of expressing our emotions. We felt inadequate for feeling angry, even though we didn't have the emotion intelligence at such a young age to understand exactly what we were feeling. And so because we didn't have that anchor with us to help us move through feelings of anger, and express anger in a healthy way, we learned to suppress anger. We learned that it was wrong to feel angry, it was wrong to shout, it was wrong to be physical, it was wrong to really just express anger in any form. And so because we felt inadequate, because we felt it was wrong, we learned how to suppress it, we learned how to push it away. And I feel still to this day, this still goes on. There is still a lot of taboo regarding this emotion. And although we are, as a collective, much more aware in terms of emotional responses and nervous system regulation, there is still a lot of work to be done. Because the problem is, in order to help the children, the young children in schools, in our families, in our communities, to deal with, feel through, and process anger in a healthy way, we as adults, we have to learn it for ourselves. Because if ourselves as adults, we don't know how to express anger in a healthy way, if we ourselves don't know how to process anger, how to feel through it and then regulate our nervous system, we are not capable of being an anchor for these children who don't have the emotional intelligence yet to understand what they are feeling. When we channel anger effectively, it becomes a tool, okay? It can be very powerful, a very powerful catalyst for change. And it can signal something in our life that needs to shift. It is like a fire that can fuel our growth and drive us to stand up for ourselves, to establish boundaries, to create the changes that we desperately need. And anger also has the potential to alert us to areas where we have been wronged or we've been neglected, and it can lead to healing when we understand the message behind this feeling. But what happens is that when anger is left unchecked, when it lacks an outlet that is healthy, or is dismissed, or is repressed, suppressed, pushed away, it morphs into resentment. And this is where we can get really stuck. Because unlike anger, resentment doesn't have the same power to propel us forward. Okay? Anger is one of the emotions that have a lot of power and fire behind it. If you think of anger, when you're angry, that's when you take action, right? That's when you take action. You have to release the anger. You have to do something. You take action. So it propels you forward. But resentment is more an inward feeling. Resentment is not a feeling of action. It just keeps you anchored to the past, to people, to situations that hurt us. Resentment is a clingy feeling. It pushes back rather than forwards and has a sneaky way of bearing deep into our hearts and minds. It's very quiet, very sneaky, and is often beneath our awareness. And this also causes to us not living in peace. It just eats up all the moments of peace because deep down we feel this resentment just bubbling. It builds walls around our hearts, and without we realizing it, we spend so much energy feeding those walls. And it's very tempting to assign blame when we are in pain. That's very easy to do, and as soul beings having a human experience, it is very common to fall back into the victim archetype. And I have an episode all about victimhood and how we fall into the victimhood archetype, so have a listen to that one. But when we feel resentment, we fall into this victim archetype, right? We easily look at someone or something outside of ourselves and say, you are the reason I'm hurt, right? It's your fault. That's because this happened. That's because of you that I feel hurt. And it's so easy to direct our frustration outward because that gives us a sense of control over that situation. Or we think we have some sort of control over the situation. We don't, but kind of give us that illusion of having control. But the problem is when we hold on to resentment, we are holding on to that pain and we are feeding it. We are not releasing it, right? With anger, we take action, we release it. We shout, we cry, we punch a boxing bag. We go for a run, we do something, right? But with resentment, we just feed the pain. We just hold on to it. We cling on it. And we don't disperse that low vibration. And as long as we cling to resentment, it will continue to affect us. It will cloud our minds. will taint our relationships, and will drain our emotion energy. It will also distort our perception of other people, right? Turning the ones we present into villains in our story, even if they are not. And this is when we are in deep victimhood. This is when we are really in the victim archetype and we are not having awareness of it. But just like anger, resentment is just a color of the many colors in our emotional palette, right? Like any emotion, and it is within our conscious control as long as we have awareness of it. And I want to reinforce the word awareness again, because it's really important that we work on having this awareness. Because as I said previously, resentment can be very sneaky and is normally hidden, very hidden, and we have no conscious awareness of it. And releasing that resentment is not easy. It will require us to face the original source of our anger and to acknowledge the hurt and the pain that was caused, so that we can stop assigning blame to external factors. And it means to step into a place of accountability, right? Not for the actions of others, but for how we have allowed that anger to consume us. It's all about taking radical responsibility in our role in the situation. And that is really important. When we stop pointing fingers and realize that holding on to resentment only harms us, that's when the healing begins. Because we come to understand that we are not coping with our hurt, we were nurturing it. We thought we were coping with the pain, but we were not. We're just feeding it. And without realizing, we were in this protective mechanism. We were protecting ourselves from pain. But in reality, we were the ones being wounded over and over again, because we were feeding that pain with memories, with low vibration feelings. We're just feeding it and hurting ourselves over and over again. So when we kind of have this awareness, it's really powerful, because we begin to focus less on those who hurt us and more on ourselves. And then we are able to ask ourselves, what do I need to heal? How can I nurture myself through this pain? Right? We see the lesson on that hurt rather than focusing on the pain and blaming everyone else and staying stuck in the victim archetype. So once you have this awareness and you are able to release resentment, you will be able to step into healing and growth, because you are creating a safe space for that to happen, because you're no longer carrying the weight and you open up to the possibility of joy and acceptance and peace. And once that resentment is gone, you will find there is room for compassion in your heart, right? Compassion for yourself, compassion for those who hurt you, and also compassion for the journey you've walked. And this is when the walls you've built around you to protect yourself begin to crumble. And when those walls are no longer there, when they fall, you will start to see the blessings around you. You'll start to feel the flow into your life again. And new opportunities for joy, new opportunities for connection and personal growth will come to you. And I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. It never does. Again, healing, it's a lifelong process. As I say on all our episodes, healing is not a one and done thing. It's a lifelong process. But as we work through it, these things start to happen. And with every step toward forgiveness and toward releasing these emotions, you are creating a life where anger and resentment no longer control the narrative. But As with everything, we know, again, as soul beings having a human experience, we have the power of free will, right? We have the power of choice. And releasing resentment is a choice that you get to make, a choice you get to take in order to free yourself from the chains of the past and to reclaim your peace. And it's also a gift that you can give yourself, and in doing so, you create space for something far more powerful to come into your life, which is all about unconditional acceptance, joy, and healing. Before I love you and leave you, I'll pull a card from the Trust Journaling deck. And the card I pulled is from the Soul Suite. And the Soul Inquiry is, what evidence do I have that I am divinely guided? What evidence do I have that I am divinely guided? And the affirmation is, I know I am being guided. Oh, I love this one. So beautiful. I really hope that this episode helped you to understand a bit more how anger and resentment have a place in your life, and there is nothing wrong with having these emotions, but it's all about processing the emotions, having awareness of them, processing, letting these emotions move through you, but not staying stuck there, okay? It can take time, but with each moment of compassion, you are healing. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Soulcery Podcast and for holding space for this conversation. It is truly magical to be able to walk with you on this journey of soul healing and inner transformation. If you resonated with this episode and found it valuable, I would be grateful if you could leave a review on iTunes. Your feedback helps me reach more souls searching for guidance and healing. For more guidance and soul wisdom to support soul awakening women through the journey of alchemy, please visit my website www.ligiacosta.co.uk. Love and healing to all. See you on the next one.